Today we're going to go through an overview of the Own Your Goals system or platform. The platform is made up of three basic components: a database to store all the records and entries that come in, a web view, which you can see here on screen, the login screen for that now, and a mobile app is also used by the athletes and staff. To start with, let's start with the app and some general ideas of what happens when a person logs in and what we look to capture for that person. So I'm going to log in here as an administrator, so you'll get to see that I have multiple accesses. At the top we have an individual, and then I'm connected with a number of teams, organisations, clubs, etc. Depending on your access level, this could either be one or two teams, or could be blank, and you could be taken directly to the individual screen. So if we go to the individual screen, this is what the athlete actually gets to see. It's a very basic screen, has a number of buttons, their profile picture in the middle, and a menu item up here at the top. Let's start with profile. We collect various information on the particular participant, and we ask them to update their information in the system using the app. They can add items here, they can add details such as address, phone number, email address, or addresses in whichever case. We have multiple there. Family details in case you need to be contacting particular people, and other information such as blue cards, nationality. So we keep a very wide range of data in this particular category that you can collect from your athletes. The recommendation is that the athletes keep that information up to date. Let's start with activity monitoring, because activity monitoring is really the thing that we want to know about the athletes and what activities they actually do. So the system has the ability to enter details on every activity that you actually have, start and finish dates, the type of training, the training status, the type of training, the rate of perceived exertion out of 10. From that, we can generate what we call a load amount, which is purely the number of minutes multiplied by the rate of perceived exertion, or that rating out of 10. What that does is it allows us to collect all information on our athletes. So if your athletes are participating in various activities such as club, school, state, and then they've got their own activities with their mates or go shopping with the girls, etc., etc., they all contribute to the load on the athlete. And what we're trying to do is understand how much load. Where that becomes significant is when we go and look at load, and I'll switch over to the web view now, because if we log in here, you will see that we have a similar type menu. And the web view is really only available for the administrator type people or staff. I'm just going to go into the NPP athletes because we have some reasonable data set there, and look at where those activities actually end up. So those activities are stored in the system in here, and every record is collected. You can filter on various actions via, in this case, person or activity date, etc., etc., or training status. Now, data collected is not really of importance, but when you start to look at it in a reports type scenario of load management, we might go and have a look at just weekly load report. What this system does is it collates all that load for you, for your team, and puts out a number of units of load per week. From here we can select a particular athlete. Let's go for Lil Dart, for example, as an option. And you can see that here's Lil's loads over various number of weeks. This week here, the 5,000 units is probably a little high. So you start to get a bit of a trend of what specific load Lil is under. The little indicator here, the red indicator, is a training stress balance. That's the most important indicator. And if it gets over the 150 mark, its scale is here on the right hand side. If it gets over 150 mark, the athlete has a 70% more likely chance of being injured. So that's the reason we collect activities. We also want to see that in a activity calendar view. So if we go to this particular can view, we can bring up Lil Dart again, and these are her activities over time. So you can see there's a number of days where she's got multiple trainings on, and there's some days there where there's 3 or 4 trainings. You can view the calendar in month view, you can view it in week view, so you can get a good understanding of how much work Lil or this particular athlete might be doing, and whether they're actually doing too much. And that's one of the key components of the system, is to try and help educate coaches, staff and the athlete as to how much training is enough and how much is bordering on too much. So that's sort of the activity monitoring that we collect. And as I said, the athlete on the app, all they have to do is click on the ad and go and fill in their details of what that activity is. There's also the indicator here of new injury, and if you subscribe to new injuries, if your athlete actually does indicate yes on that new injury, you will get notified on your device that your athlete is reported as injured. The second part to the system that we wanted to sort of go through is wellness. It's very important for the athlete to start to put in on a daily basis a wellness rating. That gives you a connection to the athlete as far as how they're feeling, what stresses they're under. This is the information we collect: muscle soreness, whether they're sick or healthy, any muscle soreness, any fatigue, sleep quality, the hours sleep, any stress levels, whether it be school, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, motivation level. The system again, if your athlete pulls up sick, or you can have it trigger that certain high values that are being recorded, and you're instantly notified back to the coach. From that, we get a view here. We also get a view on the website. So if we go to Daily Wellness, we can quickly see how a quick overview of our team. If we wanted to pick a particular date, like yesterday, for example, we can pull that up and we instantly get a snapshot of how our athletes are looking. And you can see there's a couple of red indicators, which means we've got some issues happening inside the team. Not that you have to do anything, but at least we're trying to inform you of how the athlete is feeling, how they're travelling, what sort of things they're facing. The system will notify you of various things depending on what you ask it to tell you about. So things like sick, injuries, or high readings in certain particular areas can be notified back to your device or via email. So that's the second thing. We also provide on the system a view of wellness for the coach on the fly, so that if you're not back in the office, and I'm just going to skip out of the athlete's version at the moment, just go into the NPP so you can see what it looks like from a coach or staff's perspective. And here we have wellness, and it will give you an instant indicator of today and how they're travelling on the device. So again, you stay connected, walking out on the floor to start training, etc. You can check and see how things are going. The next part of the system we wanted to take you through, and I'm going to take you back to the individual side of the app, is calendar. Now, on the web back end, you have the ability to put together a team calendar. And in the team calendar, you can put in all your events. There can be recurring events, whatever they are. And whatever you put in here will appear on the athlete's device. I have some stuff put in there. Again, with any of the items, we can click on the particular item. You can put more information in against that if you wanted to let them know that, and it also gives you a map of where that particular event will take place. So it's a good way to communicate to the athletes what's going on. So that could be your games, it could be training, or it could be special events, etc. So the calendar is another feature that we have in the system. We also have the ability in the system through the back end again to go through our settings, and we can actually add documents that we want to put on the device of the athlete. So from here we can have either web or files, and we can load those files onto the system, whether they be PDFs, preferably PDFs due to the number of bytes that are stored on the server. So from here, the athlete, if you put that as viewable, when the athlete goes in here, they will get a number of different documents. You'll notice that I have been connected to a number of different teams, so different teams, because your athlete might be connected to multiple teams. There might be a rep team they're connected to, a state team, and their school might be using the app as well, so they get access to all documents that are listed against their teams. And again, by clicking on that, it'll take them out to that particular piece of information. So a good way to communicate, scouting reports, whatever you want to use that for, policies and procedures, general flyer on the awards dinner, or whatever it may be. You can do it that way. The next part of the system that we have introduced is the ability for you to do videos. On the system you can load your own videos, or you can use YouTube videos. The only stipulation to the system is that your video must be loaded onto YouTube, and the reason for that is twofold: storage, so that we cut down on the storage on our particular app or platform, as well as that YouTube hold a copyright control. So if they deem that the video being loaded is breaching copyright, then it will not be allowed to be stored with YouTube. So that covers off any legalities for us. But all you have to do is simply go in and put in the particular code for that, which you get off the YouTube site, and then let us know, what category, etc. For the athlete, that comes up in their videos login, and from here they can go into any particular video and play it on their device. As you can see, they can turn that to full screen, etc., etc. Another part of the system is that we allow you to provide feedback on athletes, and feedback can be stored in multiple ways, depending on what way you've set it up. I'm probably in the situation I don't have any feedback, but if I had any feedback here, that would come up in the system for me to view. There's also a way in which you put feedback on the app inside the team management side of the app, which I'll show you shortly. The system also provides you the ability to put together shooting tests or a various number of tests. You can set those tests up, and the athlete can then go and select the test that they want to run. In my case, I've got a couple of different tests for NPP. I've got some data tests. You pick the test that you want, and it automatically creates that test for you. The athlete then just goes through and indicates what ones they make or miss, etc., and update. That will calculate out our percentage and record that over time. The system is quite complex in that it will allow you to define and design almost any type of test, especially in the shooting variety. It will also do physical testing at this stage. So that's the collection of information. The other things that are important is that the athlete gets to see their information as well, so they can pull up a load report on their system to see how their loads are going and be able to view that on the device. Or they can also go and have a look at their compliance, so they can see whether they're being compliant or uncompliant. Myself at the moment, very uncompliant, but obviously the more we want to get that up to a reasonable level, we can look at that from a wellness or an activities perspective, and it will gauge us both. So they can see that. They can also graph that if they want to see the graph of it over time. One of the main additions to the system over the last couple of weeks has been the communication system. So with the system, we have two types of communications. We have chats. Chats can be team chats or group chats or individual chats. So in the chat, you just pull up the chat that you're looking for, and it will show you a full detail of the chat history. You can filter at any time. So I wanted to see mine, I can type in my name. If I want to add to that chat, I can type in some details here and press send, and it will add to the chat. Notifications, of course, will happen on the device. So there's multiple ways you can keep current information up to date for your team or groups within your team. The other part to the system is messages. So the system allows you to do push notifications to their devices or emails. And you can have an individual inbox, which gives you all the various information being sent. You can have a team, so you can see all your teams. And if you're in multiple teams, the athlete can quickly focus down just to the one team in PP, and there's all the messages that have gone out. If they're your messages, then they will appear in a different colour. So in this case, mine's down here is blue, the rest of them are in green. There's also groups, so there's no group messages here, but you can have multiple groups within a team, and they will list out there. And you can also see all your sent items. That is also available from the menu options. So when you go here, on most of the menus where the drop-down menu is available, you can go to messages and it will bring you back to this screen here. At the moment, the athlete can reply to any of those messages. So if we go back there, me as an athlete, I see that there's an item there. I can click on that and I can put together a reply. If there's multiple groups, so in this case this is to one person, but if I'm going to a team, I can find the message that I want. I can reply to that particular person or the group the message was sent to, or the team it was sent to. And that will be sent as a push notification to them. On the back end of that, how that looks from a perspective of the team. So if I go into the MPP team, I can go to messages, and from here I can send out a team message, I can send out a group message if I've got groups, the number of groups that I've set up in the system and who belongs to those groups. For example, my staff, I can do the subject, the message, I can send it as a message on their phone, or I can send it as an email, or both. As simple as that. Looking now just at what you see in the back end side of things as a coach or a staff member, when you log into your particular team, you can actually go and see any of your participants. So we've got our players, our staff, and any others that might be in there. You can pull up any particular person from the system. You will see, photos that are being stored, some general information, whether their phone's being updated. You can show or hide their contact details. You can have a look at their activities from here. We're going in there. You can have a look at their wellness from here. So you can look at that over time. You can also look at any feedback that's been provided. In this case, this player hasn't, but I could add some if I wanted to here. You can have a look at their compliance. This is probably going to be a more realistic compliance report. That's for activities and wellness. So again, you've got a tool that you can walk out on the floor and start talking to your athletes about how they're tracking. You can have a look at their shooting and see how they've been performing on their shooting drills. Again, if you want a particular drill, with most windows, you can type in and it will filter the list for you. You can also then have a look at their load over time, so it just needs to reload here. And again, now you're starting to see the beauty of the system and what happens. You want to drill into that particular week, you can drill in and see what happened on that particular week. So she had a big day on the 8th, probably a rest day on the 11th, but her TSB is well below 150 at the moment, so things are tracking pretty well. We go back. So you can also send her a message directly from here, and it will be sent either as a message or an email, depending on whether they've got capabilities. So that's sort of the athlete's view. One of the things I meant to show you on there, it also tells you when they last logged in here, so you can see who's using the app and who's not, and what sort of usage they've had on the system. Again, you can go to your calendar here. Various activities are stored there for the team. You can have a look at your documents for the team. So these are the particular ones for that team. And as I said, if the athlete is connected to multiple teams, they will get to see multiple documents from various teams. You can have a look at your team videos. You can look at your chats from here at any time. And you can look at all your messaging, or send a message, I should say, to a team, to an individual even, if you wanted to from here. Go to a particular person and start sending messages. So you've got that capability in here. You can also look at any invites that have come in from people wanting to join your group, and this is how we monitor and manage people joining or gaining access to the group or the team. You've got your daily wellness, which I've showed you before, that you can look. You can also go back in days to see how things tracked yesterday and the day before. We have a facility in the system also for training status, where the physios can go and put in training statuses. There's none in there today, but if I go back a couple of days, I'll probably find a couple here for these guys. Yep, there's one from the 8th on Louis Dart, and there's some details from the physio saying half-court drills only, nil distance running. So you get a bit of a view. I go back probably to the 5th, I think. There's probably a team rundown from the physio. So restricted stationary drills, training. They've put some more notes in, which you can see here on clicking that particular button. So you have the ability with your training staff or your physio staff to have them entering details for you. You could also go and have a look at their reports as a team. So you can see in our team, we've got all our athletes listed here and their compliance on activity. So this is the activity compliance report, and you can see who the good people are and who the people you need to be chasing up on the system. That also applies for your wellness, so you can do the same thing for wellness, and it will give you a wellness activity. Once it loads, there's a wellness compliance report. If you want to have a look at that particular athlete, that's how she's been going so far. If we look at Sky Mason, for example, she's been in it a little longer, so she started slow. Pretty good 2 months. She's dropped off a little bit in June. You can also then look at the load of the team, and from here on the device you could pull up a particular athlete for a particular year if you so wish to sort of choose to pull a particular athlete out. You might be talking with, just wait for the refresh, and there's her load. As you can see, very spasmodic. So and you can see here she's had a 4,000 unit week there, and her TSB has gone way over the 150 mark, which means she's very high risk, and that would be a warning sign to the system. So that's about it for teams at this stage. We also cater for clubs, organisations. So we as an organisation, Basketball Queensland, we run the system as well. So we have our people in our system, all our staff members, etc., use the same solution. We have chats, we have messages, we have documents, we also have invites. With the associations, I'll just show you a little bit different for the associations. In the associations, you also get the ability to pull up off our Basketball Queensland system a list of coaches. So this is Brisbane Basketball, for example, and this is who we have on our accreditation system, with the cross and the tick indicating whether they're valid or not. If you want details on any particular person, you can click on their details and see it. You can email them or phone them from here as well. So the association has the ability to see into those. You can also see in any athletes, any clubs, that's type of scenario from the association level. We also are now bringing across the Coaches app. So the Coaches app will come across so that all people will be using this as the Coaches app, with the ability to have our events in here, our documents, chats, messages, etc., as well as our drills and skills. So there'll be different drills available online on the device. We can also have our video series here of all our various videos that we will be putting on the system. So that's about it for the system. The only other things is to join the system. The new version coming out at the moment will allow the people to register online, so they can register here. Simple matter of putting them on the system. It'll allocate them a password and a user ID so they can log straight in. And then once they're inside the system, they'll be only given access to the individual app at this stage, which is this particular component. But because they're not linked to any teams or anything along those lines, they won't really have much in the calendar of videos or documents. They will be able to do their activities and wellness straight away. To get onto a team, all they have to do is really go into the system and ask for a new invite. So here they can join an entity or they can access an entity. So the difference is joining, you're part of the team, but you don't get access to the back end. And access will give you access to not only the team page on the app, but it also gives you access on the website. The requirement here is that they know that your entity code, and that can be found as simply as looking up your team, and you'll find that that code is listed in the header. So depending on what team you're in, you give that code out to your athletes, and they can then use that code to log in and request access, which you would then see on your system as a request. And that's about it for the system. That sort of covers off it in brevity. I hope you enjoy it. We hope to have many more features in the time to come, and hope you get good use out of it.